pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Mayor, would you lead us?
Father, we thank you for this day and we thank you for this opportunity and safety for our travels here and home. Just bless this meeting we have and help us to just choose rightly before you. Thank you for that in Jesus' name.
Amen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Seems like we just did this 2 weeks ago.
Deja vu all over again.
I know, right? Deja vu all over again. Melanie, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Here.
Commissioner Mason,
Here.
Commissioner Hankins,
Here.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Here.
Commissioner Levanway,
Here.
Commissioner Mapes,
Here.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Here.
Commissioner Turnbull.
Here.
Okay, so I've had two different folks say to me this morning already, please make sure everybody is up on their mic. So please make sure that your microphone is close by, that it's on. Everybody, there are folks that watch us online and they'd like to hear your wisdom or whatever else you might have to say. Would anyone like to make a motion to add or remove any agenda items?
Chairman,
Sir?
I would like to remove item A under new business, as the health department has to defend themselves in this appeal.
Okay, is that, you making that a motion, sir?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I will.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Why would we do that?
Why would we defend ourselves?
I didn't take the field discussion, open the field discussion. I mean, what are you asking? Just
The health officer doesn't need our permission to defend ourselves. We've done that over and over in different lawsuits. He just does it. There's no reason to have a discussion about it because it's cut and dry. It's
oh, we already
been
did it.
done.
Okay, I got it.
And it
Thank you.
costs money
Yeah.
for the attorney.
That's fine. Thank you.
So, just, I think kind of a rehash of our last discussion about this. Last meeting, we voted unanimously to not appeal. My understanding is that Mr. Murphy, through his attorney, has filed an appeal. And if we, as the health department, if we don't defend that, we need to understand that Mr. Murphy can go back against us for attorney fees, is my understanding. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong there. Our attorney, Mr. Cross, is present, so I just want to make sure that I'm not stating anything that I shouldn't have said there.
What's your thing here?
You're on. I
Okay.
think you're on.
No, that's.
I'm not sure if that's on. Can you check? You gotta click it back and forth and then just, yeah. Nope.
There
You got it. All right.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's correct. The way I understand the motion though, is that it's sort of just like we defended the lawsuit in the trial court. I didn't come here first and ask for your permission to do that. So now we're more in a defensive posture. We're not, although I would like to just clarify, I think I know what the answer is going to be, but we do still have a window of time within which we could file a cross appeal. And then we would be on the offensive. That's something I would need your authority to do. So I'm not planning to do that right now, but if we don't defend the appeal, I mean, there's essentially a default judgment type mechanism in the Court of Appeals, the same as in the trial court, and it's potential, there's potential that they could get sanctions against the Board of Health, the health department, for not defending the suit. But I mean, I think we have to defend it, but
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we have a motion to remove from the agenda under item 9A, new business, the Iron Pig appeal discussion. We have a motion to remove that. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Mason, go ahead.
where was that at here? I just looked at it a little bit earlier. So if we remove any discussion, what are we doing with contracts? Does this remove any discussion of contract with the cost going up to that? Are we eliminating all of this discussion at this point, Mr. Chair?
You're gonna have to be more clear for me, Mr. Mason.
Okay.
What are you referring to with contracts?
So he wants to remove all discussion. Correct?
He wants to remove this discussion from our agenda.
Yes, all of this discussion concerning this appeal. So if he removes that, does everything as it stands from the last meeting we had placed in the record a cap on the cost? Does that get removed?
I don't think we put,
I believe
Mr.
that
Wells.
that discussion was your discussion, Henry. It was not the discussion of the board to put a cap on the expense. You brought that up. We never voted on it. It's your discussion that you had, not the board's discussion.
So if we had
With,
discussion-
wait a minute, with the Iron Pigs attorney sitting right behind you, telling you what to do.
he didn't tell me what to do.
You guys rode together.
Well, then we rode together and I asked him a question.
It's
about-
a violation. He can't do that. I'm standing by my motion.
okay. Regarding your question, Mr. Mason, I don't think the board took an official position on placing a cap on attorney's fees for an appeal.
But if we have discussion, if we vote on this and we approve that we have discussion, we could do that. Could we not?
We could. It depends on the vote of this board if we're going to,
Correct.
based on Mr. Van Alsten's motion.
Correct.
So I guess, is there any further discussion or question regarding the motion to remove the Iron Pig appeal discussion from our agenda? Is there any further discussion from board members? So an affirmative vote, a yes vote, is to remove that discussion from our agenda. A no vote is to keep it on the agenda. Have I properly stated that? Everybody
sir.
clear?
Yep.
Okay, Melanie, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Yes.
Commissioner Hankins,
Yes.
Commissioner Levanway,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
No.
Commissioner Mason.
No.
Motion passed.
Okay, so under new business, I'm lining out the Iron Pig appeal discussion. Is there anything else you'd like to add or remove from our agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Thorell?
I would like to, not add anything specifically, well, possibly. Typically, we talk about the July meeting, or we have in the past couple of years, because it falls in that week of 4th of July.
Right.
I can talk about that in my report. That might be a more appropriate place, but it just slipped my mind to put it on the agenda.
Can we, let's, actually though, Dan, that's a legitimate point. So under new business, item number 9, new business, we'll put a discussion of the July meeting. I actually thought about that on the way up here. What date is the first Tuesday?
July 2nd.
I'm still here. Where are you going?
I'm still here.
Okay.
But I think we've done this in the past because of
We
the
have.
week, because just to make sure that we have a quorum,
We have,
you know.
I
that type of thing.
think, and I can see moving the date in July, although
Yeah,
everybody's busy in July. I get that.
right.
Let's have that discussion when we get there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So it is going to be, any consensus from the board? Can we put that July discussion under new business?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. review and approval of, anything else we need to amend with our agenda?
Nothing with the agenda, but I just want to make sure that we're set with Mr. Cross. I would excuse Mr. Cross if we're good.
Yes.
I think since we've removed that discussion, Mr. Cross, we appreciate your presence. And if we don't see you in July, have a great summer. We'll see you in August. Okay,
See you.
take care. Good point. He's an expensive guy.
He is.
All right, review and approval of the meeting minutes from May 7th, 2024. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any corrections you'd like to see? Hearing none, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Mason,
Yes.
Commissioner LeBanway,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Hankins,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Alstine.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Review and approval of the special meeting minutes from May 21st, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mr. Van Alstine,
I'll support.
seconded by Mr. Chamberlain. Any further discussion there? Hearing none, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Yes.
Commissioner Hankins,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Yes.
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 Commi-
I'm after him.
Commissioner Mapes,
Oh,
Commissioner Ray?
yes. I was-
Commissioner LeBanway, Commissioner LeBanway,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. That moves us to public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to address the board, we'd ask you to step to the podium, state your name and where you reside. I'll give you 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second friendly reminder that your time is about to expire. Would anyone like to address the Board of Health?
Morning, Mary Lieberman, Emmett County. After watching the Board of Health meetings over the last 3 years, I've learned that nothing should really surprise me. However, what I witnessed at the May 21st special meeting baffled even me. The civil counsel for the plaintiff in an active court case against the health department was allowed to openly and directly address the defendant's 8-member Board of Health. As a reminder, the board is the direct employer of the health officer. The plaintiff himself addressed the board twice. He was allowed to state his comments directly to the health officer rather than the chair, and to turn to the audience to make gestures and more comments. Commissioner Mason attempted to introduce an orchestrated idea of capping the ability of the department to pay required legal fees. At the May 21st meeting, Commissioner Hankins repeatedly stated that this is an election year and his actions at the meeting might cost him votes. On behalf of our communities, I would like to sincerely thank the chairman for this reminder. The Health Department's Board of Health is made up of 2 commissioners from each of our 4 counties. These commissioners will all be up for re-election this coming November. This seems like a fitting time to remind the community of the cost of the actions and inactions of some of those on this current Board of Health. $9,800. This is the legal cost incurred from the Board of Health actions in fiscal year 2023. This includes Rich Ginnup's proposed and failed medical freedom resolution, as well as the cost of the May 2nd, 2023 non-meeting due to the board's inability to pass an agenda. Commissioners Mason and Turnbull voted in support of Ginnup's resolution and against approving the May 2nd agenda. $249,000. The astronomical cost to get the Board of Health out of the mess they created in 2022, resulting in the need to settle with a former health officer. Commissioner Hankins served as Board of Health chair at that time. I wonder, how much more money will be wasted trying to
30
obstruct
seconds.
this health department. Elections have consequences, but so do actions while serving as an elected official. For those asking what can be done to stop the gross negligence displayed by some of the members of the current Board of Health, the answer is simple. Vote. As a reminder to the communities, there is a primary election on August 6th and the general election on November 5th. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the Board of Health? Okay, hearing none, public comment is now closed. That moves us to new business. First up, we have Michigan class, Ms. Klanowski.
Check, check. Okay. Thank you, Chairman. I put a one-page summary in the packet describing the Michigan class. This is an investment option for the department. I like to think of this as a cross between a money market account and a checking account that has a high interest. The health department respectfully requests to establish this account with Michigan class. We learned of this from our sister agency, Benzie Leelanau County. Many of our other sister agencies across the state use it. It is an investment option that is only open to entities that are established by Michigan law. So that would include counties, schools, governments, things like that. We are looking to, like I said, establish an account, and we need to have either the minutes reflecting that we have been granted permission to do that or a resolution. The difference between this and kind of a checking account is that this gives a 5% yield, and that's pretty average for a number of years, not just months, we're talking years. And it's also liquid within 24 hours. So we can put money into this. If we need it the next day, we can pull it back out. That's what I like to consider the checking account aspect of it. The money market account aspect, what I would call of it, is really the 5% interest return that we would be getting on this. So there is a small fee to participate in this, and they do calculate that based on how many days the money is in there. I've read all the fine print, trust me. Yeah, any other questions about this? I know that most all of our counties are involved in this. Sorry, let me back up. Charlevoix County is our fiduciary, and we did go to them and wanted to open an account with them through them as a sub-account. The problem that we incurred is that when we provide our checking information, which is different from Charlevoix County's banking information, they put our account under Charlevoix County and we have to be separate. So therefore, we were advised to open our own account as the health department because our banking information is different. Any other?
So, yeah. So how much money are you looking to invest?
I need to get the account open first. But once we're there, things that we could put into this account would include like our fund balance. We are required to keep 2 months worth of operating expenses. Right now, it's about $5 million that's sitting in a fund balance. I cannot put that into a CD because it's not liquid in 24 hours. So I could put that sum of, I'm not going to put the whole thing. It's better to diversify, but we could put, let's just say $1 million into this account and be earning a 5% interest rate while it's sitting there. If we need it, we can have it out within 24 hours. No penalties.
Ms. Levanway.
I'm used to this. I have this where I work. So I know it works really well and it makes a lot of money. The nice thing about it is when you get appropriations or more money and you have more money, you can put it into this account and take it back out. It's really as simple, just one transfer online. You don't have to write checks and do a lot of it. I'd make a motion that we authorize the Health Department of Northwest Michigan to participate in the Michigan class. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Levanway,
Yes.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Higgins,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Yes.
Commissioner Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right.
Thank you.
And you just need the minutes to reflect that we approved it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we move on, thank you, Shannon, for investigating that and looking out for, as you've always done, looking out for our finances and looking at ways for us to improve those finances. Thank you.
Thank you. I got to give half the credit to Dan. He knows Benzie Leland.
You don't got it, but thanks for that. All right, July meeting. It's set for the 2nd right now. That's our first Tuesday. There will quite often be staff members and or commissioners and or fill in the blank for July 4th that won't be very flexible on the July 2nd meeting. In the past, I think we've canceled a July meeting in the past. The only concern that I had, and I'm good with that. I'll go with what the majority of the board would like to do. My only concern is that if something comes up with Mr. Cross in this legal discussion, that we need to have some type of conversation with Mr. Cross, we might need to reschedule for a special meeting. I understand. I'm not going to be here for July 4th weekend. Okay. I'll be here for the 2nd, but not July 4th weekend. So I understand that, you know, we all have busy lives and we all have plans. So what's your pleasure, board? Go ahead, Dan.
Can I add
Go ahead.
one
Yes.
thing? Thanks. Another factor to consider is, we're actually trying to pull together the Personnel and Finance Committee to hear our employee committee's, compensation request, for this year. So we need to get that done, before we start budgeting. So that's kind of another thing to put in there. I think if we don't have the meeting during that week, we need to have it either the week after or the week before, or somewhere in there. Just because I think we're going to need to make sure we have that all buttoned up for budgeting, because July is spent. Our directors are putting together budgets. They need to know what the personnel costs are going into fiscal year 25. So
Our budget year begins October 1.
yes,
So it's not that far out.
it's not that far out. And I think typically, I mean, I'll let Shannon, if you have anything to add to that.
So the timing on this, if you work backward, we have to have an approved budget at your September meeting. So that means I need August to prep it. We need to give you a 2024 adjusted budget that will need to come before the 25 budget in September. So that will come in the 1st of August meeting, which means, and that is what kicks off our 2025 budgeting numbers. So I've got to get that done, which means we have to do that in July. So that's why we end up in this July date. I need to know the salaries at 60% of our costs, and I need to make sure that's correct.
Mr. Van Alstyne.
How many people on the board can't make the 2nd? I
That's a
mean,
great question.
Everybody
I
can
mean,
be
I think
here,
it's
just leave
great.
it as the 2nd.
I'm looking at, 4th of July is on a Thursday, so more people are going to be going away probably on the Wednesday before and gone that following weekend.
Does anybody have a problem with making the July 2nd meeting?
I think it works.
Yeah.
I think it works too. Jonathan, you good with July 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
We'll just
I
keep it the
think
same.
we keep our meeting schedule as planned and we'll
Sounds good.
continue with the July 2nd meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank
We
you.
got too many things and if we try and bump
Right.
back in July, it just gets that much worse. So,
Right. I think, really the reason we have this conversation is because I just don't know, like, who's
Right.
got plans, right? We want to make sure we have a quorum. We don't want to get into that situation. So
right.
I think. yeah,
Okay. So
we
we're
can
going to
keep it the
maintain
2nd,
our
that's good.
July 2nd meeting. And that moves us to item number 10, staff reports, Mr. Thorell.
Yes. Hold on a second. All right. Keep on checking this mic. Sorry for. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on workforce development and retention. We are constantly looking at recruitment and retention because it continues to be a challenge. you know, we compete with other medical providers for some of our positions in the area. They pay better than us. I mean, it's just what it is. It always has been that way. So we're always, you know, challenged in that way. I mean, where we have, you know, maybe a better schedule for, let's say, a nurse, they can make more money if they work for a hospital, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. So, but we do have to keep the, you know, wages competitive. We have to keep other aspects, benefits, and just the workplace environment is an important factor too, to keep up morale and whatnot. You know, as a point of interest, there's only a couple people who work those same jobs in, you know, prior to the pandemic that are on our leadership team, and that's Dr. Meyerson and Kathleen Jakinovich. And Kathleen has turned in her resignation. She'll be basically done in a few weeks on June 21st. And we're, you know, really, you know, want to give her our best wishes in the future. But, you know, it just kind of points out the fact that, you know, we have to post for that position. We've had a lot of turnover in leadership if you're looking at the past couple of years. We have filled the school health director position, which I just wanted to introduce Jen Balmer to you. She's sitting at the table next to Melissa. She is an internal hire. She's was the Community Connections Hub coordinator, and then she's also a mental health therapist in Charlevoix schools, amongst other various roles that she's fulfilled for us. So we're excited about that. And then we also have the Kathleen's position posted right now. We'll be doing interviews shortly. But getting back to workforce recruitment and retention, we're engaging in a couple efforts. Leadership is undergoing training in performance management, and this is, you know, broken down into 6 modules where we basically go through these, and it helps us improve our performance standards, reporting progress, quality improvement, and, you know, as we move forward, just kind of making sure that we're true to our vision and mission. And we're also participating in the Public Health Workforce Interests and Needs Survey this fall. This survey it's an online survey for staff, and it will help us determine, you know, where morale's at, what the training needs are, as well as public health issues. And then, you know, we'll be collecting this data and the demographics of the workforce, which we continue to do because it's always changing. We did some of this last year. This exact survey, it's a national survey we did back in 2021, but we've done other workforce development type surveys just to kind of gauge where staff are and, you know, what they have to say. I think it's really important that we just kind of keep our fingers on that pulse to know where we're at, you know, so we can plan appropriately, build things into our strategic plan, you know, create a workforce development plan, provide staff training. That's a big one to make sure that their needs are fulfilled. And, you know, it's going to be useful also for this national survey to be able to compare our department workforce statistics to national benchmarks across the nation. You know, I think the estimate is that, you know, the public health workforce will be reduced by 30 to 40% over the next 5 years, mostly due to retirements and just, you know, people leaving for various reasons. So it's definitely something that's on the front burner as far as like looking at, you know, how we're going to cope with that going into the future. And, you know, is driving a lot of things like succession planning, which we went through recently, a workshop on succession planning, our leadership team, to give us kind of better tools on how to look within our organization to determine who is ready to step into those key roles down the road. So, anyways, that's, you know, basically what I have going on there in that area. I recently, moving on to the next, unless anybody has any questions specifically about workforce development.
No question, but comment that the health department is no different than any other employer in Northern Michigan.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody has it. The old line about a view of the bay is worth half the pay doesn't apply anymore.
Well, that's when you used to be able to buy a house, right?
Correct.
For that pay.
Well, yeah, the last guy I hired came from Southfield, but he already had a place to live.
Mhm.
And that's a huge, huge consideration when you're talking about bringing people in to this area.
Absolutely. I totally agree. In fact, when we've had positions open and people from outside the area applying, that's one of the first conversations that you have. Like, do you have a place to live? Have you looked at places? Are you aware of what the market is like up here? So,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure, I know everybody's dealing with that, and I'm sure you've heard this at your individual counties too.
Yep.
Similar things. So, yeah. So Benzie Leona, District Health Department decision. I sent an email out to everybody. I think, you're aware, but, just wanted to talk about it here. So at their May 22nd, Board of Health meeting, they voted to hire their own health officer. This conversation has been going on for quite some time. Actually, ever since I even started working there in May of 2022. There's been a faction or a number of people on the board that, either wanted to renegotiate the contract that they had with the Health Department Northwest or have their own dedicated health officer. And that discussion, I mean, literally has almost been every board meeting since that time. And it's gone back and forth. I mean, there was a time where I was thinking, okay, they're going to send something and propose a contract change. The contract was basically scheduled to expire, I think, May of 2025, but you could, request to renegotiate it, as, that was in the language of the contract. There were some things that they were not happy about, mainly about the say that they had in hiring or terminating a health officer. That was like probably the biggest thing. But they did recognize the cost, savings that afforded them by sharing this position. There's some other factors that came up, recently, I think, that kind of pushed them over the line. Mainly 3 out of 4 directors are retiring within a couple of years there. That was a concern of mine because, I think it worked from the time that it was put in place about a decade ago till, now, because you had that strong leadership there, people that have worked there since almost the inception of the health department. So it almost, I didn't have to do a whole lot, as far as the day to day. And, I was just, basically very frank and, objective with them, as that was a concern of mine when those folks retired, of only being there one day a week. How is that, going to work? The other factor is that health department has grown. It's doubled in size since the time that this original agreement was put into place. And this original agreement was really not meant to be a long-term solution. It was a short-term stopgap, so to speak. They had financial issues. The health department left or was demoted actually under duress. And that's when this was entered into at that time. So I think, circumstances have changed. We're in a different place now. Both agencies have grown significantly. So they have, basically put in their notice. They contacted Scott, I think Gary Sauer, the board chair there, reached out to Scott via phone. And then there was correspondence that was sent. I actually have it right here. As just prescribed in the contract. So the date of that will basically mean that I think by towards the end of November 25th or 26th, I can't remember exactly, would be when that is officially over, because there's a 180-day, transition period that's built in there.
So budgetarily, that means a 30% change in their contribution toward Dan's salary, which we're going to be addressing in the next few months, I'm sure.
Right. In the big scheme of things, given our budget is a very minuscule, small amount not chump change by any means, but anyways, it is a 30% change.
So is that the only thing financially?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except now you have to drive here 5 days instead of driving to Benzie a day and a half.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's all I wanted to basically say about that and see if anybody had any questions. Okay. Not seeing, oh, just one other thing. That does not affect the medical director position that's still in place. That was in the same contract, but there was language in the contract that basically made each one mutually, like if you terminated one, it doesn't affect the other. So just want to make that clear.
So does that mean a renegotiation of Dr. Meyerson's contract down the road then?
Well, so that
Because-
contract ends, like I said, May of 2025. I think it would probably be a good idea to take another look at that contract and, deal with any, just clean it up, basically.
If it was a clause or an addendum to yours, then we would have to probably have a standalone contract, I would assume, if we were to renew.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've talked about it a little bit, and I think, Dr. Meyerson agrees that it would probably be a good idea to just clean up the language in the contract, start with news, especially since you don't have that health officer arrangement in there anymore. And just take care of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, anything further, Dan?
Just wanted to give you a quick, just update that we are at the Charlevoix office. We are getting our roof replaced sometime in mid-June, I believe. We originally thought it was going to be after hours over a weekend, but apparently that's not going to be the case. It's going to be during business hours. So, we're just going to, have Chris Leifer is going to be working with the contractor and also with, Charlevoix, County, maintenance, director, Terry, I believe his name is.
Terry Amick, yep.
Yep. And just try to make it as painless as possible for our clients and for our staff. Some of our staff may be working, if they're in a certain part of the area where they're banging and pounding, they may just, if they can work remotely. Some of our staff can and some can't, depending on what the job is and what we have going on. So just wanted to give that update in case you were wondering or anybody reached out to you regarding that. So
Okay,
that's all I have.
right.
Is that a Charlevoix County building?
Yes.
So was that the county that decided that or the health department?
I
Both.
think it was the county.
Yeah.
We okayed it. We paid for it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And it's definitely needed. And I know that goes into a bigger discussion with buildings in Charlevoix County, but that we don't want to get into here.
No, we don't. I don't want to get into it at the county board, but we have to.
Right. But
Okay.
it's definitely something that is needed.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan? Go ahead, Terry.
Dan, can you give us a quick update on that avian influenza for our district?
Sure. I can do that, or
I think
can
that would
start-
be
I can,
under Dr. Meyerson's report.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Okay,
yep, I can,
either way.
yep. I'll let Dr. Meyerson talk about it. He's been,
Is this on? It's on. The avian influenza, where we are with that right now is, as I'm sure everyone's aware, is that, in Michigan, besides affecting poultry flocks, it's an avian influenza. It's a flu virus that's, predominantly a bird flu infection and is highly pathogenic, it's a severe illness for birds. Then it also spilled over into cattle. It's also been affecting other mammals in other parts of the world. And in Michigan, in the dairy cattle and the issues related to that and milk production. And then from that, we've seen now, I think, 2 human cases in Michigan. One was a mild eye infection in a cattle worker, and the other one was an actual mild respiratory illness. And someone exposed, through their work on the farm. And I don't really have any more details on that. Really, from my perspective, from a public health perspective, it's really just, we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to have heightened awareness of it. We've had communications with physicians that certainly should be something they should think about if they're having, a flu-like illness and someone who happens to be working, in an area where they may be exposed to avian influenza. For most of us, the risk is very, very low. And anyone, if they aren't working with infected poultry or cattle, I think if you have a flu-like illness, it's not avian influenza, it's something else. But I think we need to be also prepared to respond to the needs of, public health needs, as well as the needs of those, farms and agricultural industries that may be affected by that. And some of the things we've done is made sure that we had the appropriate, PPE and the appropriate testing supplies, because that would be one role that the health department would have if we had, an infected herd or a poultry farm or something within our jurisdiction. If there was, there's going to be monitoring of the workers there, where they're asked to report if they have any symptoms. And if they do have any symptoms that are consistent with influenza infection, we would be the ones that would coordinate testing of those individuals. It's not a simple influenza test. The testing has to go to a public health laboratory to specifically look for that H5N1 strain, that specific strain of influenza virus. And so that's really going to be our role. And I think we've had improved, preparedness in that regard. There's also going to be, regular meetings with our fellow health departments and the state health department, so that we can just continue monitoring the situation.
Thank you.
Any other questions for any of our directors on their reports? All right, hearing none, that moves us to committee reports. Personnel and Finance Committee. Ms. Levanway.
Yes, we met and we went over the bills for April. So I'm going to make a motion. The Finance Committee met to review the bills and employee expenses, and would like to make a motion for the full board to approve the April 2024 bills in the amount of $785,823.61 and the April 2024 employee expenses of $21,247.72.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Mel.
Commissioner Lebanway,
Yes.
Commissioner Mapes,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Hankins,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Program and Evaluation Committee.
We have a meeting today at 11:30 after this one. We're getting close to getting our bylaws done. I think things are going good. Things go good maybe by July, August, the latest, we might be able to present something to the board.
I think so.
All right. Anything further there? We're all set. Unfinished business, we have nothing on our agenda. That moves us to item number 13. I'm sorry.
Were we going to have a committee meeting? Yes. No, not today, but before the next board meeting over the employee.
Yeah. Yeah, we had, I believe, a couple dates that we were trying to.
So we haven't finalized that yet.
We have not, I think we're going to try and finalize that at the end of this meeting.
Okay.
We're going to try and catch the few that we haven't gotten
Okay, thank
straightened
you.
out yet.
I did have a chance to talk to
Perfect.
people on the committee. It looks like June 18th at
Okay.
10 a.m.
June
If
18th.
that works for,
Okay. At 10 a.m.? No, Didn't they want it at 5 or?
Yeah, like 3:30, anytime after 3:30. Is that it? Okay. We'll figure this out
Okay.
afterward. We're close. Let's answer it that way.
Okay.
Okay. There's no unfinished business on our agenda. That moves us to item number 13, public comment. Same rules, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board. We'd ask you to step to the podium, state your name and where you live. You have 3 minutes, and I will give you a friendly reminder at 30 seconds. Would anyone like to address the Board of Health?
Everyone, I'm Ange Duncan, Charlevoix County.
Can you aim that right down a little bit? There you go.
Better.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Ange Duncan, Charlevoix County. First of all, happy Pride, everybody. I just want to show my appreciation for the transparency of one board member with his recorded admission of strategizing with opposing counsel on, on an active lawsuit against the Board of Health, both in his personal time and on the clock in front of our legal counsel. That kind of transparency surrounding his own legal and ethical violations is what we need more of in government.
Would anyone else like to address the Board of Health?
Joe Murphy, Emmett County. This is more just an information for y'all. I gave some of these out earlier. Northern Michigan Against Hate in the Petoskey Library. Public Library is presenting an evening with Mark Totten, U.S. Attorney for Western Michigan. The purpose of it is the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Michigan is presenting this event to discuss the hate crimes and hate incidents, strategies in responding to them, and to learn more about concerns within the community. This will be at the Carnegie Building on Monday, June 10th at 7 o'clock. All are welcome. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the Board of Health? Hearing none, we will close public comment. Commissioners' comments. Mr. Mason.
I have nothing right now.
Thank you. Mr. Turnbull.
Yes, Mr. Chair, did want to bring up one thing, and I don't know if it'd be best for this, for the full board or just for a program evaluation committee. But I asked, Mr. Dan, if at some point we could have, the director of the RISE program in Otsego County come here and kind of give us an overview or send out, that we've given them permission to apply for 2 grants. I haven't heard anything if they've received the grants, and if they've received them, what the impact has been on the community. And I would like to see if we could ask Mrs. Templeton to either come in or send out something just describing those simple things. I mean, just open communication, I guess, between us and them. It'd be nice to hear that, the positive impact that they're having in the community if they receive the grant and what they're doing. So I just wanted to reiterate that to Dan, if you wouldn't mind doing something like that.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
And at this time, I do not believe we've received any word about those grants, just so you know. But I do remember that request and for sure we'll follow up with that.
Thanks, Dan. Mr. Chamberlain.
I just want to wish Kathleen the best. Thank you. And I just want to also share that the SAFE program in East Jordan, the students redid the playground. Looks amazing. And it's kind of neat. The one of the little activity things, they stuck their handprints on all the students, and then the wood shop build a bigger food pantry, community food pantry. So everything's looking good with that SAFE program.
Great. That's awesome.
Thank you. Mr. Aaron's.
I'm all set, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mapes.
I'm all good at this time.
Okay.
I have no comment.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm good as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it motion.
I'll support it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll oppose it. Just somebody's got to.
Hey, 50 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I say one thing?
No.
Hold on. This is a good thing. This is a good
Okay.
thing. I understand that Mr. Turnbull is going to be throwing the opening pitch at the Tigers game this Friday.
Yay, awesome.
So.
That
He'll have to,
explains the
he'll have to
hat.
give you what are the details on the time? 6:30? Okay, well, I think we should, try to tune in and support him that way, so.
Okay.
Yeah, road trip, exactly.
All right.
yeah. Who's getting the bus?
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you. Congratulations.
That's cool. After this, we have to.
What's that?
What did you, is it, it's a